She still can't even stand.
She's so wobbly.
Sean Wei Li is furious.
She's upset. But 100%.
Oh, pay-per-view weekend. Welcome in, everyone, to the 100th edition of Axe Cake Picks. Today is May the 3rd, 2024. As always, I'm your host, D-Rock, and joining me from the sunny state of South Carolina, the legend, Joey D. Joe, how you doing today, kid?
Doing good. Just finished watching one Friday fights. Tonight you got LFA 183, Octagon 57. There's a IBF bantamweight title fight between Emmanuel Rodriguez and Rasuke Nishida. And last but certainly not least, MMA Pro League 3 takes place tomorrow in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, in your neck of the woods. If you remember, they had the event where Matt Brown coached the Ohio Fighters and Joe head coach Murat Keshtov coached the Jersey Fighters.
Oh, fucking yeah. Matt Brown, the absolute legend. Joe, we got an amazing episode for you guys. We got some news to break down. UFC 301 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We got a big Canelo fight going down this weekend, and the first WWE pay-per-view since WrestleMania 40 going down in France. WWE Backlash we'll touch on a little later. And Joey will get us out with 10 seconds left in One Fight Night 22. But Joe, before we get there, I wanted to dedicate this episode to the 15-month-old Francis Ngannou's son, Kobe, who unfortunately passed away during the week. I mean, the whole MMA community is with him, losing someone, but a 15-month-old son. And I think a lot of people, including myself, didn't even know Francis had a son. I mean, just gutted. I want to read you what he wrote. Too soon to leave, but yet he's gone. My little boy, my mate, my partner Kobe was full of life and joy. Now he's laying without life. I shouted his name over and over, but he's not responding. I was my best self next to him, and now I have no clue of who I am. Life is so unfair to hit us where it hurts the most. How do you deal with such a thing? How can you live with it? Please help me if you have any idea, because I really don't want to do this and don't know how to deal with this. So, I mean, words can't even express how gutted and how sad I am for Francis. And I just pray for his family and for his loved ones that they try to find peace during this time. And, sometimes, unfortunately, people can't even recover. And I think we're not parents. We don't know what it's like to lose a kid. But man, I think it's a parent's worst nightmare, especially when they didn't even get a chance or the opportunity to live a full life yet. So I just wanted to dedicate this episode to Kobe and to Francis Ngannou and his family right now, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace to his son. Yeah, just tragedy, man. It's just tragic news. So hope he can, recover and do his best, because he inspires a lot of people. And, for that to happen, I think, like you said, it hurt all of us in our hearts. So,
yeah, just sending prayers to Ngannou and his family at this difficult time. Like I said, words can't express the pain we're all feeling for Francis. I think that's what's so good about this combat community is no matter if you had rivalries or beef, everyone came together and was just supporting and trying to be there for Francis and his family during this time. So
I think even the boxing community did.
Yeah. 100%. Anthony Joshua commented on it. Even Tyson Fury commented as well. So regardless of who he fought, nothing is bigger than family at the end of the day. So I just ask everyone, please keep Francis and his family in your heart, and may this be a reminder of the fragility of life, and say I love you more often, because you never know. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. So yeah, shout out to Francis and his whole family, man. I hope hope they find peace during this tough time. But let's try to spin it forward here. Some news before we get into our picks. Unfortunately for our UFC 302 over here in Newark, Anthony fucking Hernandez is out of his schedule against Roman Dolidze. He tore a ligament in his hand. He said he hopes to return towards the end of the summer, maybe August or early fall in September. Tough one for the Jersey crowd.
Yeah, tough loss for both the fighter and also Roman Dolidze has not really caught many breaks on his past couple fights. So Something's telling me that they're not going to rebook him on 302, that he's going to have to wait a month or so to get back on a card, which is unfortunate, like you said, for the Jersey crowd. But
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll get another fight in replacement, of course, if they can't get Roman a fight. So hopefully Fluffy recovers.
We got a quick turnaround for Alex Perez. He will take on Tagar Ulanbekov at UFC Vegas 93, June 15th, back at the Apex. Quick turnaround for the kid.
Yeah, quick turnaround. I know I've seen a lot of people like worried, it's like they're just feeding Alex Perez to the Sharks and stuff like that. And he's fighting back after, moving up so significantly. But yeah, I mean, Ulanbekov, he's a guy that's, trying to climb the ranks as well. And a win over Alex Perez, who's surging at the moment, would look good on his resume. So I think it's a tough fight for both guys. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who Alex Perez pissed off, but yeah, it is kind of weird seeing him fight back this far.
Yeah, Tagir Ulanbekov is number 12th in the flyweight division, while Alex Perez, after losing to Makayev, is actually ahead of him now. Yeah, you think he said he wanted to be active. He wanted to get another fight. Do you think there's no one ahead of him that they were going to give him? I think that was pretty evident.
Yeah, and they're like mostly out at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's the flyweight division. This is a huge fight for us at 301. I think it'll do a lot for division either way, depending on who wins. So I think there's a lot of movement to be done. A lot of fighters recovering from injury. Then once they are back, then we could set up those fights from there. So yeah, a lot needs to be done. And what's turning out, we like it. It's one of the most exciting divisions in all of UFC, but it's stagnant, it seems, at the moment with all the controversy.
Yeah, especially up in the top 5. I would agree on that. But Joe, we have an update on the biter, not the copier. Igor Severino, the biter. He has been suspended 6 months, fined $3,314 for biting Andre Lima back in March, UFC Vegas 89. However, the Nevada State Athletic Commission felt that the length of the suspension may not be enough. So after the 6 months, they're going to revisit the suspension at a hearing at a later date. Do you think 6 months is enough?
Man, it's tough because what's crazy is, like, I think Andre Lima, who got bit, even came out and said that, like, don't take his man's livelihood away from him. Like, let him still have a chance to put food on the table for his family. And it's just a tough one. You commit this foul like that. I guess if the cabinet came together, the commission came together and said, this seems reasonable. What finding him where he's where his standing is, like, he's not like a main event guy yet. If you were like a main eventer and you did something like that, damn, I think you should get fined more and maybe have a heavier suspension because you got more eyes on you. So the fact that he's kind of lower ranked, I think it's kind of fair. I hate to say that maybe he should have been suspended entirely or banned from the UFC. I don't know if they would have denied him to have access to the regional promotions and been able to fight there, but it seems that they're going to give him another chance. Like after those 6 months are up and he pay that slight fine, maybe they'll have him back. Cause I mean, he was winning that fight. We go back to it.
That's the whole crazy thing.
He was kind of in control of that fight. And then that occurred and it just, put a bad taste in all our mouths. And see someone do something like that. You're like, you know what? We kind of want to make an example out of you. So
yeah, I think, like you said, that was the most puzzling thing. Was he was winning the fight. There was no need to bite the guy. I think he's gonna get suspended a year. I think they're gonna even them coming out and saying we're gonna revisit it and we don't know if it's long enough just tells me where their head is at, and that they're probably gonna suspend him a year, probably fine him again another $3,000. But I agree. I think double up on it. But I do think he will come back and fight in about a year. Because like you said, even Andre Lima came out and said, this is where the guy makes his money. We all make mistakes in life. And I'm a firm believer in second chances. And I think they are as well. But he does need to be punished. And, I think a year is sufficient enough. Oh, we got a banger for 304, July 27th in Manchester. Arnold Almighty Allen will take on Giga Jacasey. Another guy kind of fighting backwards. Arnold Allen 6th in the featherweight division, fighting number 10, Giga Jacasey. Kind of on a skid right now, Arnold Allen. You like this fight for him?
Yeah, he needs to fight back. We all thought the world of Giga Jacasey, when he was rising. He was an undefeated guy. He had the Giga kick, all this. So it could be a good fight for him to get back on track, but I think he's gonna have his hands full. Like you said, even though there's a slight skid with Arnold Allen, I think he's he's top of the food chain in that division. So a guy you're gonna have to get through if you want to state your claim to the title. And I don't know. I think, like I said, I think Giga's gonna have his hands full because he's gonna have to worry about the volume that Arnold's gonna throw his way. So I'd be leaning already Arnold Allen, to be honest, but we've seen Giga been able to throw that kick and get some flashy knockouts. So I guess that's always on the table as well.
Oh, 100%. No odds right now for 304 just yet, but once we have that, we'll play Guess the Number. And I think the biggest headline of the week, my boy Ryan Garcia, he tested positive for Austrian and VADA drug test taken on the day before and the day of his win over Devin Haney. Garcia's test also screened positive for niodrolin, but this result is unconfirmed until further lab analysis. Garcia has denied cheating, obviously, and Joe, I stand with Ryan, and maybe I'm on an island with this one, but it's not a coincidence that ever since he was seen with Trump trying to save the kids, talking about Gaza, everything that he's been saying, I mean, I won't say anything else, but until the facts come out, and hopefully they do, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's a hoax, or do you really think he was tested positive?
Well, I thought that a report came out saying that he had tested negative for all this stuff. VADA test prior to the Devin Haney fight came out and said he was negative. So then the new one came out and said it was a post test and then he was positive. So I don't know if performance enhancing drugs, if it is skeptical that he had taken it like right prior to the fight and it would have done anything. I think it needs to take a little bit before it can give you any sort of advantage. You know what I mean? Like if he was negative before the fight and then positive after fight, that's unclear. I think there's going to be a little more of an investigation to go along with this, because at the end of the day, like either we're going back to the 90s and we're letting everyone juice and it's already a dangerous sport as is, or we're sticking into where we are now and there shouldn't be it allowed at all because you're playing with people's lives at this point. So I can understand the way Devin Haney's maybe trying to go after and trying to be at the forefront of it, trying to maybe ban him from the sport. Because, like I said, if we're a clean sport, whatever combat sport it is, then, yeah, I think you should be faced with severe consequences. Like I said, you're playing with people's lives here. But, that's putting a conspiracy theories aside. If it is come out that, there is some, things don't match up, then there should be an investigation on top of the investigation. You know what I mean? So that's it's a tricky subject, but I do think that it's either we're going one way or the other, and my stance is depending on where we're going as a collective.
In your heart of hearts, gun to your head, do you think he took PEDs? I don't think he did.
No. You don't think he did? Oh man, I don't. I think part of it is legit. Like I do think that he's just the way he is now. Like I said, whether it's induced schizophrenia or whatever the case it may be, man. I just I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go with what we decide it's going to be, like as a collective. If obviously as of now it's banned and he didn't have done it if he did, or if he didn't, it tested positive. It's a very tricky subject, and I guess
You're tiptoeing around.
Yeah,
You're tiptoeing around.
I'm on the fence about this type of situation, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, we will wait until all the facts come out, and hopefully they do. And hopefully it is a clean investigation, like you mentioned. But yeah, Joe, that's all the news I had for this weekend. Before we get into all of our picks for this weekend, a quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. It is no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV, Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just like how we like our lives. Whether it's Huckleberry playing around the golf with Joe or an elderberry watching UFC 301, it doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with that artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Kick Fix and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. All right, Joe, let's get to it. UFC 301 going down in Rio, Brazil. One news before we get featherweight bout between William Gomes and Juan
Silva.
is out. Williams did not look. He made weight.
Bro,
He
he
just
3 pounds under the
Yeah.
limit, and then he wore all his clothes on the weigh-in and then was stumbling. Yeah, he did.
he was
I don't know.
stumbling on his way.
I
There are
question
reports.
who his team was to allow him to do that. Like, were they like saying, "Oh, well, you're gonna gain 3 pounds by the time you hit the scale"? Like, no, like you don't have to cut those extra 3 pounds, and they weren't like really protecting him. Like, maybe he's already cutting maybe 20, 25 pounds. Like, that's a lot of weight. So there was no need for him to cut those extra 3 and then go up there stumbling like that. Like, it's like nobody was ready to protect him. I hate to see it.
Yeah, he apparently he threw up minutes before weighing in. And if you saw the video of weigh-ins or were watching the weigh-ins live, he was he needed to be kind of held onto the scale, even walking down to his left. It just didn't look good. He didn't look like he was all there. It was very bad to see. Obviously, must have been a really bad cut. Visibly, he just looked so bad. So I'm glad they did the right thing and they canceled the fight. But other than that, everyone else made weight, and we are good to go. Early start time, early prelims start at 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. Prelims start at 8, and then the main card on pay-per-view kicks off at 10 p.m. Joe, take us away.
Yeah, we're gonna start and we're gonna end in the flyweight division. I'm sorry, I feel like the way we started the show with the Ryan Garcia news and the Francis Nuda kind of like put me in a solemn mood, but I'll try to get it back. Here we go. Like we said, in the flyweight division, we have Alessandro Costa minus 129. I'm seeing against Kevin Borjas at plus 122. This is a danger zone for me. One of my Peruvians started us off, but I'm gonna be fading him in this spot. I didn't like what I saw last time out. Josh Van, maybe we could speak to the volume of, the level of Josh Van and the volume he put on Kevin Borjas, because remember he broke the record for most body strikes in history. So, I don't know. It could be that Borjas may be a little low level to allow that and not be as defensively sound as he should have been. And though he's never been finished on his feet or on the ground with ground and pound, no KO, TKO losses in his career, he does have a lot. Borjas, I think Costa might be swift enough to catch a submission, and that's how Borjas has lost one of his fights. So I'm gonna go with no via submission at plus 500. You could play him straight up on the money line. I think minus 130, minus 135. More money coming in. Costa is still playable, but I'm going with a prop to start us up in the flyweight division. So Alessandro Costa via submission at plus 500.
Fading the Peruvians early, kid.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you got nothing on that fight, I'm going right into the next one, and it's in the lightweight division. Ishmael Bonfim minus 476, and I think is even high as minus 500, taking on Vint from Hell Pichel at plus 410. And for some reason, I'm seeing a lot of people thinking Vince Pichel is live. I get it. Kudos to him for being his age and doing what more than half the population can't even dream of doing. He's a warrior. He's a grinder, but I think he's going into a literal machete, and literally Ishmael Bonfim was what his nickname is, Maheta. I think that he's in a tough spot. They're going with one of those 10-year age gap differences. I got to go with the younger fighters because they win 3/4 of the time. They win about 75% of the time. So I think the odds makers have this right. I think he's a heavy favorite for a reason, and I'm going to incorporate him as a first leg of a 4-leg Brazilian parlay I have. So give me Ishmael Bonfim as a leg of that parlay. Now we go to the women's flyweight division where Deone Barbosa minus 200. She's in her own backyard, minus 200. I like the Lithuanian here in this spot. I think there's value on her. It's ranging as much as a plus $2 dog. Her nickname's heavy-handed. She has a lot of finish. She has lose a fight. I looked at the losses Deone Barbosa has. Granted, she looked good in Dana White Contender Series to get to the UFC, but man, I just think that she's going to be a little at a disadvantage on the feet. She even lost to Jenna Bishop when they hit the ground. Jenna Bishop has looked good, and we've seen her in the other organization, but yeah, I do you think this is a tough spot for her? I know she's in her own backyard, like I mentioned, but I'm gonna go with heavy-handed Ernesta here with the dog in the spot. I think we got two Brazilians to start off the night, get the crowd into it. But then I think things kind of fall off the rails right here. So this is where it starts. You have a Lithuanian fighter beat a Brazilian fighter in the third fight of the night. So things continue into the next fight, lightweight division. Mauricio Huffy at -180 is taking down Jamie Mullarkey at +178. Maybe even more of a dog there. Mauricio Huffy, he's going to want to be a stand-up guy in this. And, he's a little late to the party in a sense. He's 30 years old. He's even older than Jamie Mullarkey. Yeah, Mullarkey has had some tough losses in his career, but he's also fought some really good competition. So, I think the crowd's going to be back in Mauricio Huffy here. He's got a great nickname, One Shot, but I don't think he could one-shot Jamie Mullarkey here. I'm going to take Jamie Mullarkey. I think we're going to, like I said, I think we're going to see a little bit of off the rails for the Brazilian fighters in the next three. Like I had the Lithuanian fighter. I'm going to have the Australian fighter here with Jamie Mullarkey at +178 on the money line. And then in the next fight, another lightweight fight. We got two consecutive. So Joaquim Silva, Neto BJJ, +161 is taking on Drakkar Klose at -160. Straight up, I'm taking Drakkar Klose because I just think that he can bang, man. I think that it's going to get in there. It's going to get dirty. And, if Joaquim Silva can't find a way, and I know he's got some knockouts on his resume, but he's got to live up to his nickname in that regard. Neto BJJ, I think he's going to have to try to find a way to submit you. And Drakkar Klose, though he doesn't have much of a submission threat, he's never been submitted either. So I think if we can, not include the grappling aspect of this fight, I think Drakkar Klose has more ways to win. But yeah, if it does hit the mats, I mean, you could say Silva could find a way to submit him, but Klose has been close to some submissions and he's gotten out of them. So yeah, I think Drakkar Klose is the right side. -160 is playable. I'll take him straight up on the money line. I doubt there's going to be a submission from him. So maybe if you see on some books, there's like double chance, maybe KO, TKO, or decision. Maybe you want to play that. But I saw that the odds were pretty much the same. So that's you just maybe play it money line safe. Same thing. Now in the featherweight division is the fight that got called off. John Silva and Wilmas Gomez. I had Lord Assassin, John Silva. That was before the weigh-ins, and then after the weigh-in, seeing that, man, I was favoring him all the way. I thought that's where the crowd would have got back on track a little bit and had a Brazilian fighter win. But now that that's called off, I think we're staying completely off of it. In the lightweight division, Elvis Brenner at +225. I mean, I think the crowd's going to be electric for him, but he's taking on a savage, bro. I think Mike Techbeck Orlby -250. He's a dog, bro. So I think for these, what have we got? 4 straight fights. We got the Lithuanian. We have the Australian. We're going to have United States and Klose, and then we're going to have Mongolia, right? Or Kazakhstan. Arlobly. I think it's going to go off the rails a little for Brazil, and the crowd might get out of it, might get a little restless out there. But I'm officially leaning with the favorite at -250 with Mike Techbeck. And I'll be going with an official play of over 2.5 at -127. Look, either guy, they're finishers. They are bona fide finishers, both guys. But the only way that they've lost has been by decision. So I'm thinking that's what we're going to get. If we do see a finish, it might happen late, like a Hail Mary submission, or maybe just like they start, standing and bang at the end of the round in the third. But I'm thinking we get over 2.5 rounds at -127, and a fighter wins on the judge's scorecard. So you could say the fight goes the distance if you don't want to pick a side, or you can play one of these fighters with a via decision there. So now we move on to the strawweight division, where Karolina Kowalkiewicz at +340 is taking on Yasmin Lucindo at -400. Yasmin Lucindo, she's on the right side, and being, what is it? I think one of the biggest gaps of age we've seen in UFC history. You got Kowalkiewicz, who's like 38, 39, taking on Yasmin Lucindo, who's 21, 22. That's, what is that, 16, 17-year age gap, almost a 20-year age gap between fighters. I mean, you got to go with the younger. It's not just a 10-year age gap. It's a 20-year age gap at this point. So Yasmin Lucindo's the right side. There's no way to really play her even with props. So I got to incorporate her as the second leg of the Brazilian parlay. So the first one was Ishmael Bonfim, and the second one is going to be Yasmin Lucindo. If Kowalkiewicz can turn back the clock and do something here, she'll be on a 5-fight win streak. But I think the 4 wins she's had before have come from lower grade competition, those that kind of fall into Kowalkiewicz's game. So I like you said Lucinda.
She's already turned back the clock, and for you to disrespect a Polish fighter like that, she's gonna make you eat your words, Joe. I'm telling you.
Hey man, she's in Brazil. She's in hostile territory, man. I think it's tough to win over there. I'll be honest with you. That's why for me to go with 4 straight fights where, you got a foreign fighter coming into Brazil to win on a Brazilian soil. I mean, it's going to be tough to even get the difference. Like, that's just crazy. But you're right. I would definitely be eating my words if otherwise. Go into the featherweight division. Joanderson Brito minus 154 is taking on Jack Shore, the Welshman, the tank at plus 145. And you know what? I want to hear what you got for the future prelim. What are you going with?
Yeah, Brito, he's won 4 in a row. This one was the toughest fight for me to handicap. Shore did get exposed in his last fight, and I think Shore, to win this fight, he needs to get it to the fight, to the ground. And Brito, he has decent takedown defense, and ultimately for this fight, I'm going to go with Brito on the money line minus 170. I think he has more weapons, more ways to win, and ultimately, I think it's the power that's going to separate him and Jack Shore. Should be a close fight, but I think he is the right side. Joanderson Brito minus 170. Give me the home guy.
Yeah, Jack Shore's game, he does have some TKO finishes. He does win on the scorecards, but he's a grappling guy. He's a submission guy. And I just don't think that he's going to catch Brito. I really don't. I think Joanderson can match him on the ground and might even pose more danger on the ground too with the submissions and possible, leg locks and even like ground and pound if he winds up in dominant position. So I'm on the same side. I got an official lean though, because I didn't want to, make an official play on it. I am officially saying that it will be done inside the distance. I think under 2.5 rounds at minus 115 is a good spot for either fighter if you don't want to pick a side. Because like I said, if just so happens Jack Shore does catch Brito, I think the crowd should cheer for that. That'd be pretty crazy to see. I mean, they will be disappointed, of course, the Brazilian fighter lost, but that's something you wouldn't expect to see Jack Shore catch Joanderson Brito with a submission. So, but I think both fighters are finishers. So I'll take the under 2.5 on minus 115. But I do think the X factor is the power that Brito presented. So that's why I'm leaning with him. So we'll go right into the main card of UFC 301, and it starts off in the middleweight division where Paul Craig, he's still coming at the title. He's still trying for it in a new weight class, plus 440, taking on the natural Kyle Baralho at minus 536. And before I hand it off to you, I got to say that, shout out Paul Craig. I like him so much as a fighter and as a person, but I think he's going to have his hands full with Kyle Baralho. Baralho hasn't lost a fight in almost 10 years now. And, I just like everything. I think he is another guy that, like I said, in terms of the grappling aspect, Paul Craig, that's going to be his path to victory. He's going to be to catch someone in a submission, and he's got some of the slickest jiu-jitsu, but sometimes he does fall in love with, pulling guard, going off his back. And that just doesn't bode well for a guy who could strike and could match you in the grappling, especially if he's on top and he starts passing the guard and he starts landing some powerful shots. I mean, he could turn off the lights with some vicious ground and pound. So I think he's got the advantage on the feet. I think he can match him in terms of the grappling. And let's say he doesn't finish Paul Craig, I think he'll do enough within the fight to win on the judges' scorecard. So I had to incorporate him as the third leg of the Brazilian parlay. That's Kyle Baralho at minus 536. So once I said Ismael Bonfim, Yasmin Lucindo, and Kyle Baralho, that's 3. And I have one more after you give your decide.
Yeah, Kyle Baralho, 12 in a row. He's won 5 in the UFC. But against Paul Badju Craig, 9-7-1 across 17 UFC appearances. All wins have been by finish. I like him at 185 as well, but Baralho, good on the feet, good on the ground. And all I hear are good things coming out of him when he goes out and trains in Vegas. Everything. He wants the top guys. He has trouble finishing fighters, though. I think that's my biggest knock on Kyle Baralho. But other than that, he's a huge favorite for a good reason. The number scares me a little, taking him on the money line, but I do think he gets Paul Craig out of there. So I'm gonna cut the number in half. Give me Kyle Baralho to win inside the distance at minus 125.
Nice, dude. All right, cool. So you see a finish in that one. I mean, Paul Craig's kind of hard, and like you said, it's sometimes you see Baralho, you disappoint us with not finishing fighters. So if he can do that, I think it sets him on the right track to get to the title because he has that potential. I mean, he definitely does. We just got to see him fight higher level competition. So now we move into the middleweight division where Michel Pereira minus 547 is taking out Ion Poteria, Ukrainian, at plus 510. And I'll let you take it away. What do you got in this middleweight matchup?
Yeah, how good can Michel Pereira be in this division is the bigger question for me. You know, he's won 7 in a row. I love him at 185. I think this is the right weight class for him. I don't know how he used to make 170. He's fucking huge. He has the speed. He has the power advantage in this fight. And if he's not dancing his ass off doing flips on his way to the cage and he's locked in, I think this could be an early night for Ihor. That's how I'm going to play this fight. Ihor doesn't have the best chin. I think he gets knocked out. We cut the number in half, minus 120 on FanDuel to get the knockout. And I just think this is a great fight for him. And after this, he's going to be a real contender at 185.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm on the same side as you as well. He's the cap to the 4-leg Brazilian parlay. That's Michel Pereira, Kyle Baralho, Jasmine Lucindo, and Ishmael Bonfim to all conclude at plus 112 for you. I think it's pretty fair. I think it's good odds. Playing them all straight up, they can win any single way. I think Ihor Pereira is going to have his hands full because, like you said, I think he could dominate this fight, Michel Pereira. I think he could, and he could find a way to finish him any way he wants. I think the same thing said for the previous fight. I think he's on a roll. He's found a home at 185. Just everything. Some wins under his belt, but then again, he's got some bad losses. And I just think Michel Pereira is going to be levels above him. So I'm going to take Michel Pereira, and it'll cap off the 4-leg parlay, plus 112. So let's move into the featured bout of UFC 301, where in the light heavyweight division, we have Anthony Lionheart Smith at plus 425, taking on Vitor Petrino at minus 500. And, you know, got a couple Brazilians winning back-to-back in the main card. And, you know, the crowd's going to be roaring. They're going to be cheering. They're going to think that we're going to get a clean sweep. But I'll be honest, I know I might be crazy to say, and I'm probably going to be, you know, swallowing my words later, but I'm going with Anthony's Lionheart Smith in this one. You know, at the end of the day, it's a fight, right? And Anthony Smith is kind of, you know, I know Vitor Petrino called him out, but I think Anthony Smith was ready for this. And he's like, you know, I know he's behind the booth, and he looked bad in his past couple of fights. The only wins, I think, coming from Ryan Spann. We saw what happened with his last fight against Guskov. So I know it's really seeming, but like I said, this is a fight, man. Like, we haven't seen Vitor Petrino really tested all too much, you know, and not get caught and respond from that. So, I mean, there's always a chance that happens. I think at the value, this is a value play for me. I know such a big dog, and it's Anthony Smith. He's got that lion heart for a reason, the nickname. And I just have yet to see. I haven't faded Vitor Petrino once, and I think I got to do it in this one spot. You know, I'm doing everything. I'm better against better judgment. I'm doing this, but yeah, I got to go with Anthony Smith just based off that anything could happen. He could catch him and cash that plus value. So, though, as much as I like Vitor Petrino and do think that he's a good fighter, this is a big step up in competition. So that's, you know, happen time and time again. So we got to see. It's almost a 10-year age gap. I'm going against that as well. So I'm going against my heart in this one. I'm going against my mind in this one. I'm going with straight, just, you know, the fact that 99% of us get out when we could have made it rich. So I'm going with taking a shot at Anthony Smith.
Yeah, so like you guys remember, Vitor defeated Tyson Pedro back in March, immediately calls for this fight, and Smith accepts it. Can Smith hand Vitor his first loss? I don't know. I think Vitor is fighting Anthony Smith at the right time in his career. He's much more mature as a fighter than at least I gave him credit for early on in the UFC. He has skills. He's huge. He's been able to manage his energy well late into fights. I think he's going to be tough to take down, and I think that's where Smith has the advantage. Smith is going to want to keep the distance, attack the body, in my opinion, keep Vitor on the outside. I just don't see that happening. I love Vitor in this fight. I think he's better than Smith everywhere. Yes, Smith has a long-range weapons, but he gets exposed on the feet. His legs are vulnerable. His body is vulnerable. He gets hurt a lot. Vitor's going to finish him. Give me Vitor via KO, TKO at plus 110.
Hey, I like that play. Yeah, like I said, this is against better judgment on my part. I've strictly
two fights are going to make you eat your words.
Hey, let's go into the co-main event, then bantamweight division. We have the return of Jose Aldo, the King of Rio, at plus 140, taking on Jonathan the Dragon Martinez at minus 143. And I'll let you take this away. Are you going with the return of Jose Aldo?
Yeah, the King of Rio is back, baby. But man, what a tear Jonathan Martinez has been. He's won 6 straight fights, and many against high-level fighters, I like that he's coming back. He wants to fight the top guys in the division. He even mentioned fighting Dominic Cruz as a potential fight. I think he's coming back for the right reasons. We saw him box Jeremy Stevens to a draw. Now, Martinez likes to throw a lot of leg kicks, a lot of knees, not a lot of boxing. His striking is okay. I don't think he'll be able to take Aldo down. Merab couldn't. Jose Aldo, he's going to come out. He's going to want to box, get right in your face. His body shots are brutal. But we have to remember, even though Martinez likes to throw leg kicks, the King of Rio is the king of checking kicks as well. I hate to be part of the public, Joe, because I love to fade the public. But in Rio, at plus money against Martinez, who I think he matches up well against, yeah, give me the King of Rio all day and twice on Sunday, straight up on the money line, plus 130.
Yeah, Jonathan Martinez, he is a really good leg kicker. He's got those TKO finishes on the legs, and he's sometimes a good boxer. I think his way to win is going to be to try to take Jose Aldo to the ground. But that's the thing about Jose Aldo. Regardless of his age, it's hard to keep that man down. Like, he doesn't accept position. He's nasty at checking leg kicks. He's probably a better leg kicker himself. And the fact that he's coming off of boxing, I think he's going to have crisper boxing. I really do. Coming with those heavy gloves and now wearing 4-ounce gloves, I think Jose Aldo actually may have the speed advantage here. And then I didn't like when Jonathan Martinez, I know I get it. He's game. It doesn't matter who you are. He kind of not showing respect to a OG, a legend of the sport. But, I mean, a little more respect. And you're in his backyard, you know what I mean? Like, it's Jose Aldo. Like, I think that motivated Jose a little more, seeing that Jonathan Martinez is not respecting him. And, maybe, snapped everything back on like he was prime Jose again. So I think we're getting that. I think King of Rio is back. This might be his one and done fight, but I think like I said, I think he's back for this fight. And I think he's live plus 140 in the co-main event slot. We're going to be scenes in Brazil and Rio de Janeiro if he does get this victory. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I got to side with it.
Anybody out there listening or watching that wants to learn how to check leg kicks, just watch Jose Aldo. He is the king of that. So, I mean, the way he does it, like you said, I think that's a great point. He was boxing, coming now with the 4-ounce gloves, a little lighter. I think he might be a little sharper too boxing, and I don't think Jonathan Martinez is anywhere near the striking that Jose Aldo has. So, yeah, love that.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, and so we made it to the main event of UFC 301 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It's for the flyweight championship between Alexandre Pantoja -1 for the Cannibal, taking on Astro Boy Steve Erceg at plus 166. I mean, who in their right mind would have saw Steve Erceg getting this title shot? Would have had a future bet on him when we had the bets at the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? I'm all the way with Pantoja because I got a future bet riding, and I'm just hoping that he can get it done in his backyard, because I think if you go back-to-back wins for the Brazilians, you get Jose Aldo, the King of Rio, to win, and then Alexandre Pantoja, I think the roof off that building is going to go crazy. So I got Pantoja to win with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu special, win via submission at plus 300. I like Steve Erceg. I think he's explosive, and he made the weight cut look a little better than Pantoja, but I think that just goes to show that Pantoja is going to be bigger in this fight, and that, X factor is when he gets him down, how much more dominant he's going to be in the grappling exchanges. So I'm going to take Pantoja via submission at plus 300 for the main event.
Yeah, very, very interesting main event, in my opinion. I do like Steve Erceg's story. Just 11 months inside the company, now fighting for the sport's ultimate prize. You got to give him up for it. I mean, we could have guessed this. Now, Pantoja hasn't fought in Brazil in 11 years, since 2013. Very interesting. He's fought all the way in South America, but never in his home country. His striking is on point. He's aggressive, good on the ground. Cardio is good. He's an exciting fighter. I just think with the amount of experience and level of competition that Alexandre Pantoja has faced, it's going to be too much for Steve Erceg right now. I do think they brought him in a tad early, in my opinion, but I do think we need to load up here on Pantoja. Now, Steve Erceg, can he win this fight? Absolutely. He could catch Alexandre Pantoja, but I just don't think his time is now. He's young. And after this fight, he's going to learn a lot. He's going to grow, maybe get on a 5-6 win streak, maybe work his way back to a title shot. but his time isn't now. Give me and still Alexander Pantoja straight up minus 185.
Wow. I mean, we're on the same side there. Same side with a couple things. What could go wrong? But on the fights we're up against one another, made the best man win, my boy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we want to go right into PBC boxing. Cinco de Mayo weekend. How could it be complete without Saul Canelo Alvarez?
Mhm.
And I got a couple other fights to talk about. I incorporated a little parlay for the boxing as well. Another four-leg Cinco de Mayo parlay. For the WBA regular welterweight title, Montes Staniones is a minus 1,000 taking on Gabriel Mastre at plus 790. I think the odds makers are right. I think they are with the majority of these boxers. That's why there's real no value in playing them straight up. I mean, you're going to have to search for props if you're taking them on straight up bets, but I had to take them straight up because I do think their path to victory can be, a little tricky. It could be on the points and it could be knocking them out. So just to play it safe, you take them straight up and incorporate them on a parlay. So give me a Montes Staniones sticking with the champion in that one. I think he can get it done. There's a big age gap and he does have some knockout power. I think he's got, though his resume isn't that long, he's favoring a knockout about every time. It's like 10 knockouts or 9 knockouts in his 14 pro fights. So you got to expect that he may get it done, but he's also a lot more skillful than his opponent. So sticking with the champion there. And then Brandon Figueroa, the heartbreaker, minus 1,200 against Jesse Magdaleno at plus 1,000. I think you're looking at a big jump up in comp. Brandon Figueroa is, the interim WBC featherweight champion for a reason. He's putting his title on the line. Magdaleno's game, but I just said he's like ranked like 76th or like in the 70s in terms of the weight class of the featherweights, and Brandon Figueroa is in the top 10. So, I think it's just a massive step up in competition. We've seen Magdaleno fight up in that level before and, had the lights turn off there. So I don't know if Figueroa does have some knockouts under his belt. I don't know if he could get him out of there, but with the volume he's going to present, I think he'll handily win on the scorecard. So give me the heartbreaker as a second leg. Brandon Figueroa minus 1,200 of the 4-leg Cinco de Mayo parlay. And then a co-main event title fight, interim WBC World Welterweight title between Mario Barrios, El Azteca, minus 1,000 is Fabian Maidana, Marcos Maidana's brother, plus 750. He's got that power. He's got the shot to do it. Anytime if you have that power, all it takes is one punch with any combat sport. But I heard some rumors from his ex-trainer that, his consistency, his, his will to train isn't all there. He does get a little complacent with certain situations. His defense sometimes isn't as sound. I think you'll see that here and you'll see that in the main event where defense is going to be also important. Mario Barrios, he's got knockout power. He's got speed. I think he's going to be a technically better fighter in there. I think he'll cut angles more, and I think he'll have the better gas tank. And I think this is only a 2-round fight. Like a 2-minute per round fight. It's very interesting there. So it's not like he's going to really gas as much. And I think that can actually favor Mario Barrios. You think it would have favored Maidana to be in and out of rounds, but I don't know. I'm thinking that Barrios is actually going to be the one to get favored from this because he's not going to have to be there after the second minute. Go El Azteca as well as the third leg of the Cinco de Mayo parlay. And it all wipes up. Before I get your opinion, I just want to end the parlay with Saul Canelo Alvarez minus 500 against Jaime Munguia at plus 430. Got to go with Canelo on the spot. I know it's tough. A lot of people like Jaime. He's got power, but I think undefeated, a lot of knockouts, but Canelo's, maybe learn from his loss to Bivol. He's fighting the same styles in terms of size and everything. Jaime Munguia matches reach and height that Bivol presented. So Canelo's seen it before, and I think he's going to have to address all those concerns that he's faced with there. Jaime Munguia, sometimes when he gets right hand happy, he drops his left and that leaves him caught. Or if he's throwing out his jab, he drops his right hand and that could lead for counters from Canelo. And Canelo is one of the best counter boxers in all of boxing. Pound for a reason. He's been the top of the heap. He's only lost to the who's who. It's pretty much Floyd Mayweather, a couple draws, Gennady Golovkin, and then, the loss to Bivol. But yeah, I got Saul Canelo Alvarez. I think his power could be on display here. I think he can match him in that. I know he's a little shorter, but getting under punch is a lot different in boxing. Then you don't have to worry about, knees and kicks like we do always talk about in mixed martial arts. So to cap off the 4-leg parlay, the 4-leg Cinco de Mayo parlay is minus 175. That's Saul Canelo Alvarez, Mario Azteca Barrios, Brandon the Heartbreaker Figueroa, and Imantas Staniones.
What are the odds on the 4-leg parlay? Do you
minus
have
175? Yeah, I said.
Oh, minus 175 for 4 fights?
Yeah. All minus 1,000. That's pretty much what you get.
Yeah, that worries me. Does it worry you the reach advantage? 3 inches
for the main event?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always worrisome. I'm just thinking that, it's two things. It's that Canelo has faced it before, and he may have worked because he's a very hard worker in the gym. We know that. Wanting to prove Golden Boy wrong, wanting to prove Oscar De La Hoya wrong, and wanting to get that fight with Bivol back. So he's saying that that's what his plans are. He wants to exact his revenge against his previous promoter, prove that he can fight against a bigger guy. Jaime Munguia matches Bivol, and then wants to right his wrong with the loss to, Dimitri Bivol.
Yeah, I'm going to take Canelo Alvarez via decision at minus 110. Since 2020, 4 of Alvarez's 6 wins have come by decision. While he does possess stopping power, I feel like Canelo gets most of his knockouts through accumulation of counter punches rather than, I guess, just pure aggression. He doesn't tend to stop fighters with, a natural size advantage or power advantage. And Munguia, I feel like the tape that I've watched, I feel like he's easy to hit, but his chin looks solid. He always has taken big shots well. I feel like if Alvarez feels like he's getting ahead on the scorecards and he isn't overextending himself, he's going to find opportunities to plow it forward. I think his footwork outside of boxing ability will carry him to the finish line. Perhaps a sign, of Alvarez, the decline and his unwillingness to kind of step on the gas and, put his front foot forward. But I do think Alvarez has always been the more intelligent fighter. His IQ, the way he accesses risk on reward as the fight goes on. So I expect Alvarez to outclass Jaime Munguia here, and he's not going to do it in a manner where he'll feel threatened in a stoppage. So, yeah, give me Canelo Alvarez to get that number all the way down to minus 110. I'll take him via unanimous decision.
Awesome, brother. Yeah.
Let's go. Good luck. Man, that fucking worries me, Joe. All favorites, and you're still laying minus 175 on a parlay. Good luck, kid. That worries the shit out of me. But, Joe, let's go on over to France. WWE Backlash in Lyon, France this Saturday. Early start time, 1 p.m. here on the East Coast around at Peacock. The kickoff show begins 1 hour before, so around noonish. But, yeah, this is going to be the first card since WrestleMania 40. In the main event, Cody Rhodes will take on the phenomenon AJ Styles. This will be the first time they've fought. Their careers have never faced in a singles or tag team competitions. There's 5 fights and 4 of them are championship bouts. So we will start with the main event for the undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes taking on AJ Styles. Joe, I'll let you lead it off. What do you got?
I think this is going to be a great match. I'll be honest with you. AJ Styles is a performer, and Cody Rhodes, always puts a show on for the fans. But it's just too soon to take the title off. It wouldn't make any sense for Cody to finish the story and then lose the title to AJ Styles. Yeah. I think AJ fighting for the title here could speak more like the rivalry he had with LA Knight and to try to get him up to speed. And so the fact that he's fighting already for a top, card title, I think now could show LA Knight should be right in the mix. You know what I mean? Because he beat him at WrestleMania. So I think it's a little bit of that. You got to look behind the lines, a little bit of the content, the contextual clues that are going on here. But yeah, Cody's going to retain in Paris, France, the American Nightmare. That's who I got.
Yeah, there are times in the WWE, as you know, we've grown up on it. There are times where you just have to accept the fact that you're going to get a main event with a very predictable outcome. And I just think this is one of those cases. Rhodes just ended one of the most all-time reigns of my tribal chief. And it was like a 2-year journey to become world champion. Having him turn around and drop his title in his first defense would be would be outrageous. They're not going to do that. So yeah, Cody Rhodes will retain his title. I think that one was a very easy one. That's why I kind of wanted to lead with that. Let's go to the World Heavyweight Championship. Champion Damian Priest will take on, not main event, but Jey Uso here. What do you like here?
A co-main event, Jey Uso.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, another spot where I think that the champion can't be, stripped so soon. You got the Archer infamy, finally getting his also storybook ending, getting the title, cashing in the Money in the Bank, and yeah, Jey Uso. It's just like I don't think you can really have two faces kind of leading the charge for the top cards, top titles. So, it's a wrong time, wrong place for Jey Uso kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like maybe he could be, a champion, but just not yet. I think it's going to take some time for him to actually get a title like that. So I just think it's Damian Priest to lose. I don't think they're going to take it off of him. I just worry about the quality of the match because we're getting such good quality in the main event. I hope because I hate to say it, the Usos when they had their match, the brothers match, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't want to see like all too many dang super kicks. You know what I mean? I want to see a little more of what else they have in their tool bag. So I'm just hoping for a better match quality than what's kind of on paper in this one, but I'll go with Damian Priest.
Yeah, I feel like Damian Priest is kind of in the same boat as Rhodes, having just won the title at WrestleMania 40 with even more need to build his legitimacy as a top tier wrestler. Uso, he just isn't a believable world champion right now. He's a fine opponent, don't get me wrong, but I just think he's there to help boost Damian Priest's resume. While I don't expect his reign to be a lengthy one. When he loses it, I just think there will be a story to the match that goes beyond an opponent winning a 4-way title shot. So, yeah, I just think you just can't take the belt off of him this quick. No. So, yeah, give me Damian Priest here.
We're getting a lot of that, I feel like.
Yeah, I know. Here's another one. The WWE Women's World Championship triple threat match. The champion, Bayley, taking on Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. Do we have another champion retain?
Yes, we do. You're not taking a belt off Bayley now. She's kind of the face of the women's division here. And, there's a lot of more stories to come, I think, with her and her rivalries. And who takes the pin, though, in your opinion? I think it's got to be Naomi. I think Tiffany Stratton's going to get built a little more. And you don't have her take a pinfall in this spot. So that's why you have it a triple threat, kind of showcase Tiffany Stratton to be like, waiting in the wings to be a champion in the future. You don't pin her in this spot. I think Naomi would take the pin. Shout out to Naomi for coming back and doing all she's done. But, yeah, I think she's drawn the short end of the stick on this one. So Bayley will retain by pinning Naomi.
I think Tiffany Stratton is like the perfect top contender that they're trying to build up. I don't think it will be here, but this match feels tailor-made to give Stratton her first real chance to shine on a pay-per-view without having her take the pin, like you mentioned, or dethrone Bayley. Just as the new champion reign begins, I expect Bayley to retain. I do think Naomi does take the pin as well. So basically just to reiterate everything. But I do think Stratton will carry on, and I think they're going to set her up. They like her.
Yeah,
they really do. So, I think Tiffany Stratton's status goes up from here, but I do think Bayley will retain.
Nice one.
Let's go to the WWE World Women's Tag Team Champion. How do you pronounce the
Kabuki Warriors?
The Kabuki Warriors
and Asuka
will take on the EST and Jade Cargill. This one, I think we're on the fence with this one. Do we have another retain?
No, we do not. We have Ed New. Yeah, you're not Bianca Belair too hot with Jade Cargill right now. You're not letting Jade Cargill. Neither one of them are taking a pin. I think unfortunately Kairi Sane takes the pin in this one. Asuka is still Asuka. You don't let her take the fall. But, controversy, kind of someone's out of the ring, all that goes on. But, I think Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are the real deal. You get them, you put straps on them, pushing Jade Cargill to the moon, and then you'll see them kind of clash with each other down the line, maybe after they lose the belts after, 6 months to a year, because that's how you're going to build up both stars. I mean, Bianca Belair's already been champion and all that. But yeah, Jade Cargill, that's a good matchup. Have them retain a bunch of times in the future, maybe through SummerSlam, and then have some, controversy that kind of makes them, clash heads. And then you'll have a great, rivalry between Bianca and Jade. So that's what I'm seeing for the future, how you can make the storyline wind up. And I think we're getting, and new, kind of the collapse of Damage Control since Bailey beat Io Sky.
100% agree and new. The WWE has huge expectations for Jade Cargill. She's probably going to want to be the biggest stars in the WWE coming over from AEW. I think her presence is second to none in this women's division. And I think this partnership kind of benefits both parties. Cargill is understandably rough around the edges, but the partnership I think protects Cargill and validates her while also giving Bianca Belair compelling work. The 2024 WWE draft further solidified the outcome. Belair was drafted number 1 overall to remind everyone where she sits in the pecking order. Damage Control was drafted to Raw to distance themselves, like you mentioned, from Bailey. That's the only possible way I feel like they lose. I think the dominant reign should follow for Belair and Cargill, leading to a split into a high profile showdown between the two. But as of right now, I do think they're going to win. So give me Anu, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill. And then the last fight, we got a singles match. Oh, no, we don't. Excuse me, a tag team match between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Tommy Tunga.
Yeah, Tommy Tunga. Yeah.
So what do you got here? The Bloodline or the Viper and Kevin Owens?
KO and RKO against the Bloodline. I think I got to go with the Bloodline because though I like Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, obviously.
Legends.
Yeah. I just think that they're putting the Bloodline up there. It's no Roman right now, no Rock. You got to keep them kind of strong. Tama Tonga, if you would say out of the two, you don't take Solo Sikoa to take a pin, you would take Tama Tonga, but I think they're trying to make him strong too. So I don't think that you pin him either. So maybe a disqualification so that nobody loses. Cause that's why as much as someone takes a pin, you think Kevin Owens should, do you think Randy Orton should? I don't think so either. So, I'm going to side with the Bloodline to get the victory, but there's also could be disqualification. So I would be wrong that if they disqualified themselves, KO and Randy would win technically, but if they were getting beat up at the end, who would really win? You know what I mean? So I got to side with the Bloodline wind up looking stronger when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think the Bloodline is off in a new direction, but for Solo Sikoa, he needs to be taken serious. I think especially as like the group's new leader during Roman Reigns' hiatus, he's going to need to start racking up some wins. I think this is a good start for him. Meanwhile, poor Randy Orton has been like kind of jogging in place since his return from injury. Could be easily slotted into a world championship with Rhodes that, carries SmackDown for kind of months. But I expect the Bloodline to win here. That leads to kind of a split between Owens and Orton makeshift tag team. So I think they wind up getting into a little thing, and I think they wind up splitting and going their own ways. And I think this is a start to kind of elevate and boost Solo Sikoa in his resume. So
Randy's face right now, if he wants to go after the title, I think they'll have to make him turn again.
Oh yeah, and no better person to do it than the Viper.
That's
I
right.
fucking love it, kid.
Did you see the supposed matches? They said they might throw in an Intercontinental Championship match. Sami Zayn, Chad Gable might get thrown into Backlash. And then the other tag team championships might get thrown in there as well. They're just debating them. I don't know if they're confirmed. I think maybe after tonight.
Yeah, maybe after SmackDown.
What is it? Austin Theory, Grayson Waller against the Street Profits is posed. And then Awesome Truth versus DIY. I think I'd have all champions retaining, be honest with you.
And if I'm being honest, Joe, I don't want any of them. I like the 5-match fight, 4 championship fights, and then this tag team fight. I think it's good where it is. I think they're trying to do a little too much to fill the card when you don't need filler.
Need to. You can have good matches and then maybe good skits behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Stuff like
that. Build it up for the next one.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So Joe, good luck. Gonna be a hell of a week. We got that in the beginning of tomorrow. Then we got UFC 301, and then in the night we got Canelo Alvarez. So locked and loaded for tomorrow. But we got one Fight Night 22 going down. When is it? Tonight or tomorrow?
It's going down tonight.
Let's
Yep.
go. What do you
On
got?
Prime Video. Prime Video's got a lot. I think they got the Canelo fights and they're gonna have the one fight. So for the one flyweight Muay Thai championship tonight, I got Samila Sundell minus 184. I'm taking her straight up on the money line against Natalia Dykova at plus 160. Look, Samila Sundell, I think she's only 19 years old, but she's already a veteran in the sport and she's just nasty with it. You know, I think she's beaten pretty much everyone that's come across her. And I think she's going to retain in this spot. And 10 seconds left is back. So we're going to keep it rolling. We had 1-0 last week for Risen 46 with Suzuki. And we're going to go again 1-0 this week with Sundell.
Let's fucking go. Back in the winning ways, Joe. Good luck this weekend, tonight and one night, and then WWE, boxing, and UFC 301.
Yep.
That is going to do it for this Friday edition of Axe Kick Picks. On behalf of our sponsor, Viva Tequila, Joey, I am D-Rock. Make sure you guys go follow along our social media, X and Instagram, at Axe Kick Picks. You guys can find all of our episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. If you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, give us a review, comment below who you'll be betting on this week. All that good stuff really helps the show grow tremendously. So be a friend, tell a friend. Everyone, good luck on your wagers this weekend. Be safe, be well, and we will see you guys down the road. Peace.